baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause
Black versus the Board of Education.
Cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know, and we know, and we go, so you do what you know.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
We're just trying to catch up. So before we get started with today's discussion, we are talking about Black love, Black pain, and confronting dating violence in our communities. This episode is Dating Violence is a Quiet Crisis Impacting Black Youth and Families, one that's more often hidden behind stigma, mistrust, and a desire to keep business in the house. In this episode, we will talk about, some of those raw discussions about being culturally grounded in our conversation about dating violence, how it shows up in our lives, the real stories that, haunt us, and what healing could look like when we start telling the truth. We discuss the tragic local cases and explore the broader challenges from being dismissed or disbelieved to feeling stuck in between silence and survival. This episode is not just a warning, it's a call to protect, support, and love each other better. And with that, before I get into any conversation, I'd like to let you know who's in the building. So I'm going to start with this gentleman right here to my left. Hey, what's poppin'?
How you doing? What I mean is Fox. I believe we got a good topic, man. This one right here hits home for me. I grew up in a household like this as the child.
As the child. Okay, we're going to touch on that because in one of the stories we're going to be talking about, a sibling tried to intervene and something happened.
I did too.
All right. So I'm going to start with this one first. And then I'm going to come to you because you're the newest one and I'm going to put you on the spot. So Go ahead and introduce yourself, gentleman right across from me.
That is I. Hello, everybody. You? My name is Daniel Chastain, and I am glad, happy, ecstatic, just loving this moment of being here.
And we're glad to have you here because I'm excited to get into the conversation as well. And rounding us out today, I'm all here with all the gentlemen, and I love that. So go ahead and introduce yourself. You're new to the team, and I like to trial by fire. That's what we're going to call it. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, something about you that, you think the people would need or want to know about you.
Yeah. So I'm new to the team. I'm James. And here in Sacramento, born from LA.
Okay.
Came here to Sacramento and just looking for new opportunity, looking for my people.
Oh, well, you found them because we believe in getting right to it. And, anytime you talk about domestic violence, first of all, Kevin, can you put our disclaimer up? Because I don't want anyone in any way to believe that we are trying to put ourselves up as experts over their specific cases, over their specific lives, to talk dishonorably about their families. We just want to give some information and kind of talk about it. We want to let you know that we will be discussing topics related to domestic violence, which may be triggering for some, myself included. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Support is available 24/7 and is completely confidential. And I wanted to put this disclaimer up because, truth be told, this is not something that BYOP, really takes an active role in domestic violence. We don't take an active role. Normally, when people think of BYOP, they think education-related services, they think advocacy, they think mentorship. They don't see us as a leading voice on this particular topic. That does not mean that we don't know about it. That just means that when we look for different support services in the community, we are not one of the ones that normally comes to the top of the conversation. That does not mean that we can't start, right?
There it goes.
Okay.
Correct.
There it goes.
Can I add an however to you?
Absolutely.
I would say, however, many of the people we deal with experience this type of trauma.
Absolutely.
But many of them But do we get called first when they get hit? I don't think so, because right now BYOP does not supply. I can't give you a bed right now other than my house bed if you can't take your children nowhere.
Right.
So it would be better for us to liaison you out to somebody who can better fit you. So that's what BYOP does do. Many of our people that we help experience this, and we get them to where they can until our services are better up to par to be able to service our community of domestic violence.
Yeah. And so, leading into our first point of discussion, what does dating violence or domestic violence mean to you? Let me start with James. What does domestic violence mean to you, or dating violence?
Dating violence. What does dating violence mean to me?
Stay on that microphone.
Okay. Dating violence means to me people not really knowing each other. I think a lot of times, especially in our community, we get put together and we either like something about the other person, or something just satisfies us or gravitates towards one another. But I think we really just don't know each other, and I think violence is the next step when it comes to, or after communication, when it comes to just trying to get a point across, and when it comes to aggression. But yeah, I think it all stems from us really not knowing each other.
Okay.
Fully.
Mr. Chastain, what do you think?
I think it's more of it's a mindset. I mean, it's somebody that is wanting or needing, feeling the desire for a control and receive a response by inflicting that, whether it's silence or physical or withholding sex. I think it's a mindset of somebody wanting or needing control.
Mr. Irvin?
I would agree with both of you guys, actually. The only thing I would add to it is I would take it to where you left off and say it's people not knowing each other, but it's also a sign of that person not knowing their self. I don't know what I'm capable of doing, or even many times some of our young boys that I've talked to and young ladies didn't know that they had that in their repertoire until they was hit with a pressure moment. And for me, growing up and me having firsthand knowledge of it and seeing what I went through, a lot of it is learned behavior. Yep. It's a learned behavior, and I don't know myself well enough to know that this is my behavior, because I've seen it growing up. And moving on to what Mr. Chastain said, I've also seen this gets results. So now here it is. I'm with some person, male or female, because domestic violence does not stop at any gender or age.
Absolutely.
But they're in this part, and some people have a habitually across the line in this area. However, here's people, they don't know themselves, they into it and they go. And then what's even more dangerous is when you have a person who does know themselves. But they have not reached the level of maturity to where I take this off the table, because this right here still gets results for me. So for some people, domestic violence, they don't believe that I'm committing domestic violence, and I haven't stopped using this as an option because you didn't bust me doing it because I didn't hit nobody. Mr. Chastain pointed out something that's very well about domestic violence that a lot of people don't know. Domestic violence is not just you beating somebody down and they going to the hospital.
Yeah.
It's that little smack on the side of the head too that didn't nobody see, but the other person didn't deserve that or have that warranted. Domestic violence is withholding sex over weeks at a time as punishment. Domestic violence is withholding the financial things, holding people's keys. When me in the middle of an argument, I take this glass and I slam it against the thing. And now you know what's going to happen to you if you go out that door now. Domestic violence is the menacing stares and the clenching of the fist while she's talking or he's talking to you. What you say? So you ain't gonna cook dinner tonight? Is that right? Domestic violence is also that. It's the threats that go off behind it, the posturing, the mental, like I said, financial withholdings. It's a lot that goes off into it. That's my answer to your question. But for sake of time, let's move forward, because there's a lot that we need to cover to make sure we educate the people with this.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. So how were you taught about healthy versus unhealthy relationships growing up? Because I personally don't believe I was taught anything. It was kind of like I told you, trial by error,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I went through experiences. I saw things. TV gave me a fantasy of sorts to live up to. You know, all these doggone Disney princesses. I thought I was supposed to be in somebody's damn castle. Um, and it didn't dawn on me until probably my first year of college, maybe second year, that I really didn't know what I thought I knew about people, especially people who claim to love me, who claim to want to protect me. I don't think I knew what I'm looking at now, present day. If I would have known that as that 18, 19-year-old girl, what to look for, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been a victim of domestic violence. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been taken by ambulance to a hospital due to a panic attack. There are so many things that went on in my mind. It's like, okay, if I just do this just a little bit better, maybe it won't happen. Right? If I just say this a little softer, if I just shrink so that person doesn't get mad, right? And that's how I learned to kind of survive in life. And I still carry those traits with me today.
Right.
I don't want to argue. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's how I learned by trial and error. What about you? How did you learn? What the difference between healthy versus unhealthy?
Well, I'm gonna take it back to our training because I didn't know what healthy was. I had no idea what healthy was. The way I grew up, what I saw in the household, I never saw a physical abuse. I never heard the verbal abuse. Not between my parents, but between me and my mother is where I found out that was even domestic violence. Some would say child abuse or emotion is still an emotional aspect of what was being done. And the outcome was me taking it out on someone else. Hurt people. I can't do it to you, but anybody else can get it. So it still correlates. It's still on the same lines where I know we were discussing the dating aspect of it, but just like Mr. Irvin spoke, was we're dealing with those that are in those households that are coming up under this domestic violence that is not being spoke of. It's not being heard of. It's not being talked about.
Right. They're not putting a label to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. They're not putting a label to it. And there's really like, where do you go? What do you do? It's coming from within. So we can reach to the BBSN. We can reach to BYLP. We can reach to the BGSN. We can get to these sources for help.
Yeah.
Which is needed.
And that's why I'm bringing it up, because the girls last week told me this week they want to talk about teen dating violence. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about teen dating violence.
Right.
One of my girls ended up in the hospital, I think last year, due to a situation. Right. And so when we're talking about, how we're learning to interact with one another, where are we picking up the information? Right. Is it just in our households? Is it TV? Is it all around us? Is it environment? How did you learn? How did you learn about healthy versus unhealthy relationships?
That's a great question. I think I'm still learning.
Yeah.
That trial by error is a real thing.
Yeah.
Trial by error is a real thing. I didn't start learning what I was giving off until it was my first relationship, which was in college. And that's when I started to pick up things like, who am I? Like, what is my character? What am I giving off? Do I really know how to treat women? Do I really know how to treat people?
Right.
Do I really know people? And, growing up in my household, my dad was in and out. So
my dad was just out, but go ahead.
My dad wasn't in the picture as always. So to your point, like not seeing it, not having it in the household, there was no there was no example. So I just relied on, what's trending or what's in the circle of like what are kids talking about? So, okay, let me just do this. Let me just do this. Let me look on social media. So I think that's why it's important for all the work that y'all are doing just to be there as a, not just a vessel, but just as a leader and a mentor to these boys, all the work that y'all doing with Black Boy Support Network, just to be that guide just for their blind spots and the things that they don't look for when it comes to just relationships or just family and stuff like that.
You forgive me. You just said something
Blind spot.
right.
Jahari's window.
So you just threw something real valid on the table, bro. It's the social media aspect, right? We didn't have that. We didn't have that.
No.
We didn't have that intel like that, right? We had to learn it from how we saw it in the mall, at school, whatever. We had to see it like that. Household, neighbors, whatever it may be. But because you guys grew up in this era with this thing in your hand,
computer,
right? That thing in your hand, right? That information, you can see it from Africa, Tokyo, Hawaii, wherever you want to, whatever you want to. So you guys are getting it in so much abundance of information. It's different where the aspect of I know it, just knowing people, learning people. You're seeing it from a screen and getting it. I didn't even think about that till you just threw that out there. Like that's a whole different level of understanding.
Yeah, and intimacy.
Right.
So I mean to cut you off.
No, it's a podcast. Cut us off.
I think that I actually think that understanding people worked in your favor because the amount of overcapacity of social media, I think it hinders us. I think it works backwards, where it's just too much information and
Do you believe it starts to numb you?
I would say so. I
think because it's just kind of like all the
there's so much
police shootings and Black men being killed. It does desensitize is what I mean.
Right.
That's a good.
It starts to desensitize you towards what it is that you're seeing, and you haven't spoken, and I want to get your take on
because I'm
what you're listening
to. Saying, and it's not the desensitization. It's also making it less personal. The difference for my generation and what's going on today is within the social media aspect, how you get hit with a conglomerate of stuff, and then it desensitizes it to you. By it desensitizing it to you, and then you see the situation in real life, it's also detached from you from a personal aspect. So you don't have, you're not, nobody feels bad when they walking past and they just, I just seen that on YouTube the other day.
No, they pulled out the camera and recorded
and they go
and then post it on YouTube.
On my generation, I seen this daily too, though, right?
Yeah.
And the difference is there's no shaking the personal connection.
Yes.
The personal connection is what allowed us to form the gangs. Let's break down the word domestic violence. Violence is its own monster, right? But domestic means on your homeland.
Yeah.
In your own place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asleep as a little boy. At my earliest remembrances, and I can call my sister right now. She'll verify for you. She'll tell you the same thing. When she came waking me up, I ain't number 5. She 4. He beat mama up. Domestic. My thing was I'm gonna go in there and get that BB gun. My mom that took my BB gun. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna pop him. I'm gonna pop him in the leg with the BB gun. I'm protecting my mama. But somebody else told me that that's what goes on. Domestic. Somebody said, "Hey, you protect your mama," right? But that incident turned into the same incident 3 months later, 4 months later, 5 months later, continuing until I reached another point where I started turning into a little boy. Domestic. As Chastain said, this same person, I started being confused in my own household because I'm running through these questions and I'm saying, why doesn't Black folks report abuse? First of all, I didn't know it was abuse. This seemed normal. It was normal because the window that sleep next to me in my room is I used to have a room up front. It was connected to the room that the parents used to use in the next home. That he whooping her butt over there too. Yeah. When I walk outside, I grew up in an era. I'm an 80s baby, and I grew up in Old Park. I'm an Old Park baby for real. I came fresh up off that Ave. And that was my immediate domestic community that embraced me. And what was different from my generation and YouTube, you knew these people. You didn't just start and see the scene. I seen when he woke up, when he went to the popsicle truck, got us a popsicle, went back over there. He went down to the store. He came back. It was something in the brown bag, whatever he drank in that. And the fellas, they came. Then the fight started. But clearly, when they came back down to the fight, they used to come tell us, "This is why you fight. This is why. This is the reason." And it was nothing but a bunch of bull crap. Right? I really thought because I was drunk. But then going back in the home, you see these domestic disputes being handled in the streets, and they're telling you these are the rules. And then you come back home. You're getting popped on for being outside, and then you seeing your mom get beat up, and these boys, they grow up like this, right? So you grow up.
So you said, I just want to be clear. You said you don't believe it's reported because it's normalized.
It's normalized. But it's normalized.
I'm looking up here, and it says, the old adage, what happens in this house stays in this house. They don't take my business to mixed company, right?
It's more than that.
Could that also be it? No,
I beg to differ. I beg to differ and go further.
Okay.
What I'm talking about when it's not reported, I'm talking about the sister that knows her sister getting whooped on. I'm talking about the brother that know his sister over there getting beat down and they came over there. I'm talking about the mom that know her daughter getting beat on by the boy. But guess what? He take care of little Marcus though. He's a good man. These are the reports. There's the victim, and then there's the people that know the victim. You know how many people knew my mom was getting whooped on? It was nothing, because guess what? They demoralized her because she was a prostitute. Oh, that's the lifestyle that she got. But now she whooping on me. You know how many people in my immediate family knew and witnessed what my mother was doing to me? No. Plenty. Because guess what? I play with my cousin all the time. Why every time I come over here, I got a black eye? Every time I come over here, it's something, this, that, and the other. You know how many people that knew just in the community because you sleep next door to me? I walk with your kids to school. Y'all know too. Just like I know your mama a crackhead too. But there was no hotline number out there.
Right.
There was no BYLP. There was nobody that came to ask.
No resources.
And that's how community resources lost the streets back then. Back then we had Black Panthers, but they was phasing out as the 90s was coming in, and you had all these organizations, these YMCAs.
I have an idea of why that was happening.
And all that came through. But none of these people actually came and said, "Hey, how you doing?" You know who came to say, "How you doing?" The next door neighbor who beat his wife. "What's up, little Fox? You all right today?" Because he cool in the daytime. It's at nighttime when he have an attitude. So now it's personal. Now we know these people personally. Now it's making it harder for them to report this. Because if I report it, I ain't getting no more popsicles, and so on and so forth. And I know girls that grew up in households where their sisters was getting molested, but they had some type of tennis shoe thing. They didn't have no good clothes over there, nothing. They continued to let the dude molest the girl in the household because guess what? He provided clothes in his house. But people be getting away with this. They don't want to report. They don't want to put family business out there.
Yeah. But what does that cost us? Not putting family business out there. And let me full disclosure. I don't believe certain people need to be up in our business. I don't. Because I don't believe that the system is there to help our people, because there have been multiple times when our folks have gone for help and then they send CPS in and they make matters worse. Right. So what does it cost us not putting family business out there? What does it cost us?
The broken relationships, even if you don't want to turn it into the police. Now here I am, the kid that grew up, right? And I keep showing myself because I'm representing the not just all this community, but it's a lot of people out there like ourselves as well. Here we grew up and we come back to family, and now we see our uncles and our families and our uncles, and we're not so trustworthy at these family events. Now we can't connect up here as adults because you didn't save me when I was a child, and I know it. And I know it. You once made a statement. I don't remember what word for word, but maybe I'm gonna draw your memory to it. A child would do something, and something will watch the thing burn down.
Oh, a child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down and fill its room.
I'll burn my village down. Wow. I'm here to start a new one, because the one I came down, I'm willing to burn it down. I've been burning it down.
What does it cost us? I know it's heavy, right? You have to let out that big old sigh. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just, man.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I would say everything. Sometimes life or death, or even the whole family system, the structure. It's so interesting. Jordan said in our meeting earlier, he said, my why is quality control. I want quality control. I was like, what's that? He said quality control is, sometimes, it's not quality control is you try to build something, and then the only way it stays is if you have your hands on it. You said quality control is if I could take a step back and look at it and form it on its own, and like it stand up and it has its whatever it's doing. And so, you know, I see it as that, like it costs the whole foundation. It costs, like to your point, the state, like growing up, you know, the statement that so-and-so said that no one wants to address because no one wants to take accountability. And now we grow up and now we're separate. It costs the whole everything.
It also costs more into society. Like, as you said, I heard you say something that I resonated with, and I try to brush it over. But it's and the reason why I try to brush it over is because you touched a spot in me. You said, she asked you a question, and you said, I'm still learning myself. And when you said that, I came out of prison at 40. I'm just now learning right now. So, and when you ask a question about a healthy relationship and what does it cost us, by me growing up like that and holding on to that moral value, I was a star in prison. That behavior made me golden in prison.
Can you tell me what behavior you're referring to?
Antisocial behaviorism. Handle business fast, get results. Knock my man down. I ain't got to hear nothing, and I don't do no second guessing and second talking. You heard me the first time. The fight started the moment you opened your mouth and said, huh, get it right. You understand now? This is what prison promotes, allows, and allows me to do every day. The result. And no matter how diddly, if I flip the table to get the result, if I stab 20 people to get to him, and later on, my boy come through and we celebrate and I get my gift for it too. However, out in society, as I was building myself, preparing myself, getting ready for society, right? Mind you, I went into incarceration at 14 for actions that they were above me. But the way I communicated my actions at 14 was a direct result of what I learned within my own household. I responded in the exact same way that I was told to respond within my house, and it was demonstrated for me that this is the exact action that it is the way it has to be within the streets. I did that. Doesn't make me innocent, but I move on to prison with such action. So I went there believing, man, this is kind of messed up. What's really wrong? I went to prison confused.
Jeez.
I was confused when I went to prison. Like, what's up? But I'm ready. So I carried on that same thing. And then as I started changing, the maturity set in, things start happening to you, like you said. I started questioning, what type of dude am I? How do I treat a lady? How does it go? But the people that's supposed to teach me, they up in here with me. They bank robbers, they gang members. I'm turning 18, 19, 21, 31 now, 35. And I don't know the answer to this question. I'm resulting on information I done read from a book to say, man, this sounds right. These phone calls I get through from family, that sounds kind of cool. And I seen it on TV. Damn, I'm gonna be like the Cosby Show. And then you see what they do. And you say, I ain't like that. Oh, there's something else going on, right? So I had this idea of what it looked like, but I had no personal connection because I learned to YouTube. At 40-something, they paroled me back into the streets. What I knew was I liked that hug I got from my auntie, 10 minutes into my freedom, we pulled over at Denny's. And all that happiness immediately turned right back into weirdness because all that stuff I was prepared for the streets turned directly into what my demonstration was in prison. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, folks? Back up. Why are you so close? Immediately, that's how it's coming out. And that's how they looking. What's wrong with him? But it's normal where I come from. That's what it costs. It's the way that these things come out. A lot of people that go through these issues, they don't get to be normal till later. A lot of people be held within these sex trafficking rings till later. They don't be released till they 30.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she comes to you for a job and she says, well, I gotta do the work. And you say, hey, it ain't that type of picture. But that's all she know.
Yeah.
And you looking at her like she nasty. But that's all she knew. And I can go into several examples,
Right.
but these are the people that we're walking into in society that we're not understanding. And they're coming from domestic violence and then fresh out of COVID, and then off into somebody who mismanaged their money situation in our society against them. And that's how they come to BYOP. That's how they come to these. But some of these issues are happening right now today where they need to call that hotline number. If you're going through that right now today, call that hotline. Call BYOP second, call that first, but call us too. But it's a lot because what you said, your question said, what does don't put family business out there cost us? The way that we run it, the community is a family. So that's a lot of ball dropping through all of that.
Right? Yeah.
And then for me to stand up here and say, I want to represent with these people, I'm here. Like you said, I came out here to find myself. But in order to find myself, was there not black people where you was at?
Yeah.
Somebody drops the ball somewhere.
Yeah.
And right. And that's not to bang nobody from nowhere else.
Yeah.
It just says that we got to do better.
We got to do better.
Yeah.
We
Definitely.
don't always have the solution, but at least we here at this table.
Definitely. I was just, the question is so interesting that you say that, because the question that comes up for me is, how can I be mentored by someone from a distance, create my own reality without losing the essence of myself?
Mm.
And so
That's
that's been from high school all the way up till last year. Just trying to discover that. So that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, and I think of it, and I'm listening to, how your experience has shaped you. I'm listening to how your experience has shaped you. There seems like there's a mama wound here, and I don't know if your mom also experienced domestic violence.
Yes.
Okay.
She was adopted, so given away.
Mm-hmm. Abandonment. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that I've had to take in considerations, being in that space to be able to learn myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to know where I came from, because I didn't know that until I was like 40. That my mama was adopted. Oh, now that makes sense. Why this was going on. I can't be mad at you no more. I can't not hold that resentment anymore because you didn't know any better.
Right.
How can I be upset? You gave me what you knew.
Right.
My duty, just like my dad said, I have to be better than your grandfather was to you, because you are now going to be better to your children when they come, or for the sake of argument, our boys.
Right.
I am better for them because of what I had to go through and what I understand now. Now I can give it to them like the concentrated orange juice, right? It's in that jug and it's in that pitcher. Now let's just pour the love onto it, and we can now stretch it out to all of them.
I think it's more than that. I think it's what you a lot of times what you said. You identify something, and that's what we do in the room in BBSN. That's all we're doing is identifying. We identifying traits. You identified in the room. There's a trait of men in the room who have been wounded by their mother, right?
Right.
This is something you identified. You threw it out there as calmly as you possibly can without it being an attacking statement. That's where the counseling and the mentoring element come in when you're dealing with people like this, people who've been hurt. I don't want you to tell me, nigga, you got a mommy issue. I do. But don't talk to me like that. Because
I ain't there yet.
I'm not there yet. That's not how you get at me, right? I'm just now learning this, right? So talk to me like that.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting because you say that you all have a mommy wound. I have a daddy wound.
Right. Which allows you to fit a wall up towards men. My wall towards women is I don't participate in this. I'm not with this domestic violence crap. I ain't with that. I'm not slapping you, spitting you, taking your money. I'm not nothing. But with the person I know, it's hard between me and her sometimes because guess what? The communication part between men and women isn't always there for me because I come from a person who, although I'm forgiving and I've moved on, this is the first person that ever hurt me. And I don't mean because you didn't bring toys home. Absolutely. It was a wound that left distrust for years. And I thought this in my mind, if I can't trust my mama, what make you think I'm going to trust you?
Yeah.
If my mama gonna steal from me, then best believe I'm going to think the same thing about you too. And I put it on the world because as you said, hurt people.
And can I ask a question? Because, it's known culturally that fathers stamp their children with their identity. And listening to you, was your mom's dad was around?
Yeah.
Did she listen to him?
He didn't talk.
I
never seen my grandpa say a word other than, hey, give me some sugar.
Okay. And your mom was
on the cheek. That was a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, we know what sugar.
Okay, I'm just saying my grandpa wasn't with the crap. He was just a man of demonstration. He was not nowhere near any of that.
Right.
And so when we're talking about, women who are lacking that initial protector, right? And they're trying to fill the void of someone who made the choice not to be present. that creates one of two things: someone who's always looking for validation, or someone who's very, very angry. And our boys who don't have their fathers in the home become very, very angry and agitated at their mothers who they do see, instead of the person they don't see.
Because it's your fault that he ain't here.
Correct. And so there it becomes a kind of like a cycle.
Absolutely.
A cycle that we're seeing where, you know, either you're walking around absolutely hurt, or you're walking around pissed off
or confused,
or confused. I would say yes,
because some don't
confused.
understand what they're going through yet.
Why wasn't he there?
Right. We don't understand. It took my auntie telling me,
with me?
I couldn't hear it from my mother. My mother kept on, she was feeding into the promises. It was supposed to be some type of, if you're good, maybe I'll try to come. My auntie told me flat out that Negro ain't and he ain't coming back. In the middle of me stroking my little
what?
His waves.
My waves, and I'm just like,
I was just looking at the top of the head.
Somebody had made a statement earlier of talking about, boy, you starting to look like your father. You know, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna probably see Pops, you know what I'm saying? You know, probably for the summer over there, mom talking about, she told you what? Listen, let me go ahead and just tell you. We're gonna see him today, tomorrow, next week. Woo.
Yeah.
Even though she shouldn't have said that, she should have said that. Because guess what she was doing? She was doing this part. The family business. Somebody need to let this boy know.
Let him know.
Because he's a cannonball already.
Yeah.
It's about to make him worse.
So
by
you
not
was angry.
I was. But however, let me say this about the mothers. Shout out to all the black mothers that's out there raising a black boy. It is not easy and y'all do not have the answers. However, I must say this. No disrespect. Sometimes some of the mothers, they drop the ball, and not the good ones. But as you say,
what do you mean?
The boy's already angry. I'm already angry. I'm pissed. I don't know my dad. I do know my dad, but he's not here. I don't need you telling me I ain't finna be shit like him. I don't need you. Okay. I don't need you telling me I ain't finna be nothing like him. I don't need false promises of him.
Yeah.
I don't need you to promise me anything about that man's name or even bring that man's name up while you see it's a wound for me. If you see me questioning and asking where he's at, then I don't need you to bring in any false promises. Maybe, you know, he didn't bring anything for your birthday. I know he didn't give me nothing for my birthday. So you don't need to remind me because you mad and I didn't do the dishes this week that I didn't do the dishes. And now
so
you know what? That's
you're
why
saying what I'm hearing you say is that there are some moms out there who weaponize their child's father against them or with them
to praise themselves up bigger and to teach a lesson. And I get it. Who's to teach a lesson? Boy, you lucky your daddy ain't here. He kick you, but he ain't here. Just quit bringing him up. Second, they use the thing of you ain't doing that because you just like him. You just don't. We still don't know. Like, and I still don't know what this dude is like.
Right. So dynamic could be just between those two, but mom is giving it to me one way, but dad really trying to get there.
Dad
really trying to holler, really trying to be in my life, but he can't deal with her. And that's what it was.
Or he doesn't want to deal with her.
So this is what it was with me. My dad was in the household, but always traveling, driving bus, Greyhound bus, always gone.
So he was making a living.
He was making a living, taking care of, taking care of the household. But when he was home, it was with me. Working, doing whatever. It was with me.
Not her.
Not her.
So
but that was my
resentment.
only safe time. There it is. That was my only safe time. But he would have me and be away from her, but give her time, and then she's happy for a day or so. So now I'm mad that you gone again. I'm upset with you because you're gone again. You leave me here.
Okay.
Alone with her. You see what I mean?
Part.
And she didn't want to be alone either.
No, but because I look like little twin.
Yeah.
Whatever he has done or not done, I have to receive whatever her feelings or emotions are towards that because I'm the closest. We had a counselor that taught us. He said the closest gets the mostest.
Yeah.
Right up.
Closest to you is going to get the mostest because it's safe. It's safe.
You know what that counselor pointed out to me too? It's a big generation of boys who they got misrepresented about who their father was. It was a lot going on in the 90s growing up. The 90s we was introduced to the one night stands, even though that was already going on. Baby mom, now you got all these boys growing up, and you done told this boy his daddy is this and his that. He's a one night stand. You got pregnant. and some of them don't know who the daddies is. And again, we're not downing them, but they've been given this story about their daddy is this and their daddy is that. Well, my father was over glamorized to me.
Right.
And then when I met him, the dude took my bike to get some crack. Crackhead, man. You know what I mean? And times changed. He became different people at different eras. But in that era, from my little boy wound, being 12, 11, and you growing up and you starting your reputation, in my brain, a crackhead daddy wasn't it. I already got a prostitute mom, but now I got a crackhead, and I found this out today. Oh, you're and I just got kicked out the house. Yeah. And these boys are moving. My question would be,
and hold on, because before you ask your question, I see that this conversation is taking a different turn, and I want to make sure that we do this conversation justice. So this might be a part 2 next week, because it sounds like we need to start talking about the foundations of what the community has become based on some of the missing elements, whether it be abuse, whether it be drug abuse, whether it be missing fathers dynamics. And we know that the country actually put things in place that took Black men out of the homes and allowed Black women to sign up for welfare. Right. And they couldn't continue to receive benefits if the man was in the home. So they disarmed our families and they shook the foundation. And what that cost us. Now we have women being heads of households, men being told that you don't belong here, who already had wounds probably from their father who wasn't there. And now we have a whole generation of children who are coming up, and they were taken away from each other kind of abruptly in COVID, right? We didn't teach them the communication skills that they need to actually thrive around each other. Yeah. We put them into a powder keg that was already bubbling over because they was jaw-jacking over the internet.
Well put.
And then now we see all this aggression, right? Yeah. And it's coming out in teen dating violence. It's coming out with just violence amongst same peer groups. It's coming out just all different ways of violent behaviors are manifesting. And they didn't just learn it during COVID. Some of that stuff was already happening at home.
Yeah.
And so we have to start to look at the foundation that we're laying, because a child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. That means we have a responsibility when we see these things and these children are coming to us and they say, hey, we want to have a conversation about X, Y, and Z. We put that on the table and we have those converstions, because if they're not talking to us, who they going to talk to? When they little friends?
Right.
And they don't know nothing either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So look, you thinking exactly to where my question was leading to. While we was talking, what I noticed was what we did was we spoke on the people who are in the relationships. Now,
absolutely. That's what I was just looking at.
This is what we led to, right? Domestic violence is for real.
Under the banner of Black pain, right?
So
Black love and Black pain. So we're gonna stay under that theme, right?
Correct.
And we're not gonna go all the way into this. Right. I know we gave you
but I have a question for this though.
But we're gonna stay here. Yes.
My question would be, since these are the people now that we've identified are in these relationships and we've experienced it, we've all talked to them, all right? We're on the media, or are we going out talking to the boys? We know the children. We know that domestic violence is not no longer, with the knowledge that we have, a one-stop shop of, oh, he just got mad and hit her, or she just got mad and hit him. No. The people participate in it.
Effect.
Absolutely.
So now when asking the question of how do I help or address or combat domestic violence, the tools that you bring in is not just going to be the cuffs, because you lock up a boy, right? And I'm not saying that this shouldn't happen for you if you do this. He beat his girlfriend up and you lock him up. Punishment, you're going to jail, boom, 6 months jail, and they bring him back out. What skills did he actually learn about you put him in a place where he about to go fight now all day?
Yeah.
Right. And other men are going to fight him because of his actions and tell him that's not what you fight for. This is what you fight for, and give him an upskirt view now of go out there and fight for this.
But
so how do you attack it?
But does he get more angry and he blame her for putting himself in there?
You know what he calls her? I'm gonna tell you.
And then he gets out and go after her?
It depends. If she call, she's a snitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But if somebody else call, they still in love. And this is the conversations I be hearing amongst them. Baby, please come down here and tell them you already know. You know you pissed me off. And she comes down there, she tells them, but the prosecutor still prosecutes.
Yeah.
Because the charge happened, which turns the young man's attention. I found a new enemy. Boom. Which is already out there, right? After law, But what you're saying, but what you're not saying when you say these statements is the part that he sees as he's growing up. he sees the guy that gets on the tape on the media and just says, yeah, man, I just got out of jail, man. After law, this is what they did. Look what they did to my eye while I was in there. And then it cuts off. And that's all the youngsters know. And then they follow him. And then they praise him for all the rest of his other actions. And then they come to find out this is what happened. This is who this person is. But it's too late because he now has the influence of these guys, and he just turned them to vicariously through the net into who he is. So again, when challenging the domestic violence, is it lock him up and let him go? Or is it that we need to give them some skills? We need to give you some
Who's
conflict
supposed to be giving
resolution
them some skills? I would assume it's the same people over the education system, and we see how that's going. Anyway,
But
what were you saying, love?
also, well, that's true. That's, I mean, that's ideal.
They create the problem, and then they create the solutions to the problem they created.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Very deep, very, very deep. You know, what's interesting about what everyone's saying, I think what used to be a safe haven for, you know, getting help, you know, especially a part of my childhood, like what was helpful was spiritual teaching, was being in the church. The church used to be for those conversations, but Christianity in America, you know, what does that look like?
Child. I think because of this being a church, that's one of the hardest, because of that being black, it's one of the hardest things, because coming up in Christian churches,
spare the rod, spoil the child. I still believe it. They didn't say beat the hell out of them.
Whooping was one thing that was allowed. So this is one of the hardest things to tackle in the early upbringings, because we teach it to our own at a young age.
Kill your kid. They just told you to correct your child.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I think some people do take it too far.
Right.
Yeah. Church used to be a safe space. It used to be versus, you know, everyone having to have spaces for themselves.
This gonna be a whole nother topic. When you start talking about churches were on the forefront of a lot of stuff. What happened?
And
they got that 501c3 status, and they decided that money was better than people.
Yeah.
Right. And then you sometimes
all evil.
Church has a funny way of explaining problems sometimes. Being that church is supposed to be a place that allows people in, they'll say, hey, man, you know, this guy, he committed the crime before we let him in. You know what I mean? But the guy that's in the church, as we see, he hasn't learned his lesson. So now when he sees another young man, as you say, that's supposed to be the safe haven, he ain't giving him this version of it. He's giving them the version of, hey, man, it's all good, man. You'll be forgiven. It's cool. You know what I mean? Because that's all he really knows, too, because that's how he got welcomed in.
Or it's malpractice. It's giving advice but not taking it.
That part.
Yeah. And then seeing on the other side that
some people just don't read the Bible. Let's keep it a buck.
Right.
Yeah.
They listen. They believe by word of mouth. They believe by what comes out of somebody else's mouth. They don't read it.
The selected scriptures.
Right.
The selected ones.
That part. And I've been one of them people. I was like, hey, God so loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten son for those. I believe, man.
And who did you think the Bible was talking about?
I didn't know.
When
I was just reciting the scripture.
When you was growing up, who did you think the Bible was talking about? Because I always thought it was
I
a book
didn't believe
of fairy
in God
tales.
when I was growing up.
Right? I used to be scared to sleep in front of a picture of white Jesus. I'm be honest with you. I used to hide up under the pillow. My grandma had one of them up in the house.
In front of that big white Bible with the
gold
leaf on the outside.
We had that, and I turned against it. I was one of the ones that got better early on. I asked that question early on, and I don't know where it came from, but I was just like, I was seeing what I was going through, and I was like, but where are you? And spirituality wasn't taught to me correctly. I was given the same grassroots of, like I just said, for God so loved the world so much that he didn't eat this bread. Go on, pass the plug. Now put this quarter in there. Shh. That's all I was told.
Right.
It's supposed to be the same age. It wasn't presented to me in an attractive manner.
Yeah.
And I was told that these people were supposed to be here for me. But again, I'm waking up every week with black eyes, and so is the family.
There used to be a standard. Now it's a show.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
They got stage lights. They got all kind of. And I'm not down in churches. I mean, you know,
I'm not trying to down.
I'm just saying it's become more about the lights and the collection plate than about the souls and the communities that we were there in the communities to serve in the first place.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to shun them. What I am saying is, in respect to this, I'm the hurt person. And I'm coming in here, like you said, I did look for my safe haven. Or somebody else is looking for it today. If they come in there and all you got is, hey, back. Hey, can't open the door. Right. Okay.
No.
I'm gone. I don't even want to pray up in here.
What you see in most churches is a bunch of women in there without their men because their men are at home watching football, right? and they're being taught under some other man that their man is supposed to be their covering. And they're being taught by some other man who they're going to lift up and glorify because he's labeled the pastor, right? And his word becomes law, right? Like, let's keep it a buck.
Right.
And that causes problems in the houses.
Absolutely.
And then she goes to the church and she says, you know what? This man is putting his hands on me. Now, depending on what church you go to, he may send you to the scripture. Spare the rod, spoil the child. A wife is supposed to do A, B, C, and D.
Proverbs 31.
But he don't never tell her the scriptures about what the husband's supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so she goes home and she tries to, capitulate to whatever it was that she was told that she's supposed to do. And then this man is going to act right. If she just pray for him, go in there and serve him, he will change his attitude. He a whole demon. Like, how am I gonna do that? You know what I mean? Like, can we keep it a buck though? Like, seriously, we're dealing with people who are being manipulated by a book that they don't even see themselves in. Let's keep it real.
True.
And then they go out and they try to live up to this ideal of some other culture when the book is talking about them and they don't realize it.
Wow.
And so I sit here and I'm saying all this, bringing it back to Black love and Black pain. We were taught to love our oppressors.
Facts.
And it has destroyed our community.
Not love, obey.
Obey, love, all that, revere, respect our oppressors, the people who gave us. There's a whole slave Bible.
Right. But with the intention to love.
And they didn't read it. No, they said we were supposed to love them.
Right. But you wanted us to obey with the intentions of love.
Yeah. But we didn't learn that we were supposed to love us. And so now, as someone who provides services and talks to mamas all the time, there is a disconnect between church, which used to be the safe haven, community, which they are absolutely a part of, and home, where they are leading the households. And that was never the design. They were not supposed to be leading the households. They were supposed to be helping somebody else lead the household. He was supposed to be the leader and she was supposed to be the help me. Now, I believe in traditional roles. That's just me. However, without us being in alignment with the way the design was supposed to work, no wonder our communities have gone to hell. And I'm putting that lightly.
Can I point out something that you said that I seen? Design. You said it wasn't designed to be that way for us, right?
It wasn't.
And I agree. But because you're absolutely right. None of the school systems, however, right, moving it back to here.
Anything that they put laws on.
Right. And what you're talking about, right? People don't know each other, right? So when two people come together in domestic violence, and domestic could be husband, wife, sister, brother, cousin, April, you put your hands on your neighbor. Right. But and when two people come together, two people should be able to come together and design what it's supposed to be. But being that they're not talking beforehand, and then the communication ain't, one person got to be strong in one area and the other one ain't. One can't come to his girl and say, I don't know what I do when I get pissed off and you slam the door in my face, because the girl never slammed the door in my face. So I don't know what's gonna happen when these things happen. This is what we can do. But we can learn from each other as we growing. We getting to know each other. Yeah. This is what's happening. Okay, I see I got mad when I do. Slam the door. Be honest, say this is my trigger. What do two people do? How can two people come together that are coming from two hurtful places and design something that is beautiful and get rid of what they abandoned, what they was taught growing up, and add off into their own, coming to their own. My grandfather, right? Yeah. I said he took kisses on the cheeks, right? Then I got older. I began to understood my grandfather a little bit more. My grandfather is a direct descendant of slavery. He came out here from out there to here. He don't know how to raise girls. I don't know how to raise daughters. I know how to tell a woman what a man's supposed to. I think a man supposed to, hey, open the door, this and that, don't let a man steal out your purse, this and that. But he didn't know how to raise girls. So my mothers and aunties and them, they was looking for, like you said, they had a man present, but they didn't have the attention. His demonstration was, hey, dress, rip it off. You ain't getting that no more, ever. That's it, right? Church-fearing man. But the brother was there. I learned from my grandpa's actions.
He was there, but absent?
Absent. Because he wasn't really, my grandfather wasn't Mr. Your hair looks pretty. This is what you tell a girl. Look, man.
So what happens when the first man she sees tells her that her hair is pretty?
She fell in love and she started going after the Navy boys. She started liking men in uniform because guess what? In her brain, she was told to respect authority. Authority, black man, uniform, authority. I like you. Black man, pain, drug problem, uniform. That uniform don't take away from what's up under it. Me shaving my face and with my beard and my bald head. If there's a monster in me, there's nothing that does. But I look cute on the face. What's inside is going to come out.
That's all they see, though.
Right. But that's what they see.
When women first approach men and men first approach women, they see the physical. Period.
Absolutely.
Now
the physical that somebody worked hard to hide. Some people work extra hard.
No, it's what you see with your eyes.
Right, but they work extra hard to hide their monster.
Because they send their representatives. Let's be very clear. So you get a version of them. You get the put together version, the no problems, because problems start coming out 3 to 6 months later.
Right.
And you start noticing things. But originally, you're attracted to what you see.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, in the 90s, when people were attracted to each other, they slept with each other all reckless. And they produced offspring.
That was that good music.
Yeah, that good, great music. Great music. Shout out to Jodeci.
What keeps sweat? Jodeci.
Where'd it go?
I'm just saying, like they acted as if there was going to be no consequence for that decision.
Right.
Well, and we're gonna have to put a pin in this because we're running out of time. But
I'm not gonna speak too much further. But that just it goes full circles because even the music being amplified that, and then people reciting it to their language to bring it back to their household, playing in their household.
Listen.
And then the first thing that comes up to mind is "Give Me That Honey Love." Freaking R. Kelly, and look at what happened with him.
I don't believe it's that they didn't know the consequence.
No, they didn't think there was a consequence.
No, it's not that they didn't think the consequence. I know sex, baby. What they don't understand is diapers cost $5.99, $6.99.
No. But what they don't understand is they're tied to that person for 18 years.
But they don't understand it because let me tell you what happens before this incident happens. Before that, let's go before the music. What's a little girl told? A little girl's reality is way harder than a man. I know little girls right now today who are meant to. Exactly. These girls ain't nothing but 3 years old. They're already being taught, girl. Oh, you gonna get you a whoop-de-whoop man.
Right.
You meet girls at 7 that'll tell you right now what they man look like.
Right.
And they ain't even had a period. They ain't even bled. But now move on from that. What I'm saying is they move to the music, and then there's a responsibility that happens. I'm willing to take that sacrifice because they've been told this for so long. And now a girl has been told for so long about, girl, you got to get married. Girl, you got to cook for your man. Girl, she's been told this from 3, 7, 13, 15,
you know that hurts,
19. Right? My apologies. Okay. And now guess what? Now she's with our brother who grew up in one of these households that we're speaking on. And he looks very nice. Matter of fact, he wears suit. He wears suit and he tied and he got a nice car. And she 19 and eat with the stuff and everything came and everybody came and he's in the thing and now people mad. And one day she dropped the dish on the floor and it's.
Yeah.
And now she has this reality that she's been told all her life. And you got to uphold your marriage. You got to, things get mad, girl. And guess what else she's seen?
And why does she have, wait. And why does she have that particular view of marriage? What did you say? What did you say was the place of safety?
Church.
Boom. Church has kept many a woman in this domestic violence situation because she didn't want to disappoint her congregation and she didn't want to disappoint Jesus or the man upstairs.
Right.
And so she stayed.
The covenant.
Yeah.
Add to that the financial thing. Where's she gonna go?
Yeah, he doesn't think.
You might spend the night tonight, but I don't know about tomorrow, girl. You chosen. You can spend the night tonight. That's your dude. He better not come over here neither. That's a problem. When somebody becomes extra aggressive, like you want to let your friend spend the night, but he keep coming. You got to take that somewhere else because I got kids in here too.
Yeah.
Going back to what you're saying, as far as just like if two people can come together and they can design a plan. I think, and I'm not gonna take too long. I think it's just one aspect is people agreeing to and signing up for contracts that they didn't know they didn't know it was made. Everything that comes with that. And I think it goes back to people not knowing how to communicate, people not knowing how to talk to each other, people not knowing how to deliver the right message to each other. And I think, you know, like you said, to the church, it takes surrendering. It takes just creating a new language for whatever's to come.
I like that word that you said, surrender.
So I was
we got to pick up on that
this whole time, like being vulnerable, being open. And he just popped off with surrender. That's
ended it. Because guess what? The community that we've been talking about, I've been holding my own for 40 plus years, from 14 and before that in the streets, right? And it doesn't take away from what you're saying, but this is why this particular community don't go, because guess what I'm not going to do? Surrender. I surrendered to my own mama. She didn't do it. We've been fighting for so long. So now here it is. We in these relationships, like you said, and today's the first day I figured out I kind of care about you. I thought I did. I've been saying all the nice words, but now I'm 42, and something happened today. But the flick of the hair, the way and I really care. It's my first time feeling this. But I also don't want to be a sucker, though. Because mind you, since this is my first time feeling it, guess what else came along with it? That boyhood immaturity. I'm 14 still. 14 say, no, I ain't no sucker. What? What about you? You got that? You ain't feeling it? I ain't feeling it. I ain't gonna tell her that.
Yeah.
And then guess where I went with it? Maybe I might know how to buy you a present. I'm learning how to maintain a relationship, but that takes surrender. Yeah. I'm at a level right now of surrender, but even in my own surrender, there's also me inside of me that said, not today. I mean, probably
we'll surrender like that president on Captain America.
Yeah. My battle
internal
has been with the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
But my battle with him is what led me to here. So I'm gonna keep battling with him, because battling him is what puts me in rooms to be able to speak in a knowledgeable manner, because I know what I myself have to go through to get here. So I know what the next person might have to do to get here as well. Without me fighting that person,
man,
I'd be the person you're talking about right now today. Yeah. BVSN gotta go, y'all. We love y'all. We love you, Miss Lorraine. Thank you, Mr. Tab, for the backup.
We're about to wrap up, but give me a quick second. We gonna wrap up. Give me a quick second, because we have to tell them about Celebration Weekend.
All right,
absolutely.
June 27th through the 29th. Flyer up there? We are hosting our annual Celebration Weekend, 3 whole days of 3 events. Our Denim and Diamonds soiree on the 27th, our Family Fun Day in Elk Grove Regional Park on the 28th, and our annual Black Grad Celebration. If you know any promoters or any graduates who are part of the class of 2025, we want to see them live and in person. And special announcement, bloop, 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 bloop. Our Masters of Ceremony will be Mr. Terrell Hill from All American.
All right.
And he just told me that he's available all 3 days. So he's going to be kicking it with us for 3 whole days. Nice. And your keynote speaker for Black Grad is none other than SCOE representative of Area 4. I think it's Area 4, Vanessa Kagoy. So I am excited, and I hope that you are too. We want to have you in the building to celebrate Black excellence with us and to love community as well. So join us. It's June 27th through the 29th for Celebration Weekend. And with that, we're going to hit you with the peace sign and cut up out of here.
Can we put that hotline number up there one more time since we coming back?
Where the hotline? Yeah. We need that.